but I'm just live to kind of be live for the Business World Panelist event that I'm here right now. And I'm speaking to them on my laptop here, but I also want to share whatever is happening with you guys. So I'm live on our Insta channel and live on the YouTube thing. The panelists include Mukta Pradhan, founder and CEO, I Thrive Healing and Beyond. We also are excited to welcome Namita Banka, founder and MD at Banka Biolu. Thank you so much for joining in. Dipali Nair, director, Digital Sales India and Digital Sales Center Bangalore for IBM. So we've got all these ladies all set for the next panel discussion, and I'll hand over the screen to Sven. Aditya, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Ravi. I'll take it forward now. Good afternoon to our esteemed panelists, our viewers, and colleagues from BW Business World. Welcome to another panel of Women's Entrepreneurship Award of 2022, organized by BW Business World. We have with us in this panel Mr. Pali Nair, Director of Digital Sales at IBM, leading its Indian and Asian markets. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am. We have with us Ms. Mukta Pradhan, founder and CEO from iThrive Healing and Beyond, as well as Ms. Namita Banka, founder and MD of Banka Bio. We'll be speaking about their leadership experiences as women entrepreneurs in India, as well as mentoring leadership in the country. We'll be discussing about breaking gender stereotypes, whether that's in academics or in professional journeys, fostering more women leaders in the country, amongst various other relevant issues in the country. We're very excited to have you with us today in this panel, and we're looking forward to the responses to some of the very relevant issues happening in our country. For the first question, I've asked Mr. Pali Nair to answer. So, my question to you is, in the aftermath of the pandemic, Indian companies underwent a very rapid digital strategy adaptation. Can you tell us about your experience at IBM as such a time?
So, Anisha, I will say this, that it's not just India, but across the world. I think organizations and society, therefore, the businesses that we, enable, and the end consumer, who benefits on account of these businesses, have undergone a huge change. Digital transformation has definitely accelerated. Every sphere that you see, any consumer's life is impacted, and therefore the way businesses interact with the end consumer has changed. But I think one of the things which is relevant for the discussion we are having today in terms of digital transformation and therefore stereotypes and let's say gender. I think on one side you see pockets and you hear anecdotes where you find that Indian women entrepreneurs have got enabled. So you find a lot of women operating from home, setting up new businesses, thinking of setting up new businesses. Whether it is home at a very grassroots level, whether it is a home chef getting enabled or somebody who is doing some craft work getting enabled, and that's happened on account of, let's say, Instagram and digital payments and so on and so forth, right? There have been opportunities that have come to the fore, which were already happening but have got accelerated. But on the other hand, uh, statistics tell us, more so in America and also in India, that a lot more women are staying back at home to take care of, let's say, parents and children and focusing on those things, and a lot less women in the workforce. There is a study that IBM does, which was done pre-pandemic, though, by the way, which shows us that the pipeline to the top jobs. So today, the top jobs, you may have a certain percentage women there, but the pipeline to that. So let's say if you're talking about CEOs, the pipeline is VPs and senior vice presidents and so on. So that pipeline on the gender side, is an issue, right? So I think the experience that you're talking about, my personal experience, lies between these two, realities and anecdotes that I hear. On one side, data tells me when you look at the corporate workforce, you find that we need to still work very, very hard at it. I always say this. I say, don't lose hope. In the 30 years that I've been working, we've traveled considerable distance. but maybe not fast enough, you know. And on the other hand, all around me, I see an opportunity that's available now on account of digital transformation for women to come forward. I now therefore feel that I think it's the women who need to seize the time. I will leave this my first comment here, Anisha.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your response. My next question would be to Ms. Nita Pradhan. So, can you tell us about what inspired you to start your entrepreneurial journey? Possibly, how were your experiences in your initial years, any possible roadblocks that you faced, and any lessons that you had that you learned from those initial years as an entrepreneur?
Like, where do I even begin? So yeah, so my entrepreneurial journey, like I tell people, I tell my team that I've been a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 4 years old. I found a branch of eucalyptus leaves, and then I was like, let's make mix out of this. But I've always had that ambition. This current venture, right? I try what we do with making diseases disappear. That was really inspired by my own personal journey. So 2016, 2017, when I really got sick because I didn't know how to fix my own health, despite having a master's in nutrition, I had to kind of learn all of the things that we do now at iThrive. And then I figured out that it was actually so simple to fix my own health. Like I lost 37 kgs and I fixed diabetes and everything. I realized there was a huge gap in the market because I had gone doctor to doctor and I hadn't found answers. And the fact that there was really no one offering this kind of service with authentic care and like just kindness and compassion, I was like, there's such a big gap. Why don't I try and fill this gap? And I didn't even start, like, I hadn't registered a company, nothing, right? I just reached out to a few family and friends and it worked for them and they really loved what was happening. And that's when it grew into an idea that hey, maybe I can like make a venture out of this. And it wasn't easy because I was raised in a very conventional middle class Maharashtrian family. My dads, uncles, everyone, like they've been employees mostly in one company for almost all their lives. um, Most of my aunts and moms were like stay at home parents. My mom did serve as a nurse for a very long time, but it was more as out of service, not so much as a career job kind of a thing, right? So I didn't really have a role model for entrepreneurship anywhere in my reality. And when I chose this path, it was difficult. It really was because I was laughed at, and I was like, what are you doing? Just find a job and like do it, because there were points of time when finances got really difficult. For example, like there's one day where I just had 300 rupees left in my account and I had to pay rent and my daughter's food and everything. So it was a difficult journey. But what really has brought me to this point where we have now raised 2 rounds of funding and we're going for a series A next is I didn't give up in my I had this vision that I wanted to create a planet free of diseases. I didn't give up on that vision, right? So that ability to hold on to a vision and not give up, that gave me the resilience and the grit and the courage to do this no matter what. If I was going to be ostracized by my family, if all my friends thought I was crazy, it didn't matter, right? It was that vision. So anytime now someone comes to me for mentoring that hey, I want to start this, I'm like, why are you doing this, right? So if that why of why you're starting your business, your company, your venture, whatever, if that why is not clear, the minute you hit your first challenge, you're going to want to give up. So that's like you need the courage of 10,000 lions, I think, to really become an entrepreneur. And when you're a woman entrepreneur, the lions are not enough. You just need the courage of 100,000 lionesses, I think, when you have to like do this.
But one lioness.
Yeah, you need the courage of 10,000, 100,000 lionesses, and then you become that one woman who's creating paths for all the other women. So that's how it is. I hope that answered your question. It's such a long journey and such a long story with so many meta stories in it. I don't even know where to start and where to stop.
Absolutely. I think that was the perfect way to sort of carry forward from what Narayan just mentioned, that we have to seize the opportunity
Yeah.
as women in India. And how do we do that? We keep confronting those challenges and we keep evaluating. I think that was definitely something like it's a perfect way to sort of carry forward the conversation. My next question would be to Ms. Nandita Banka. can you please give us a sense of the growth trajectory which shaped the initial years of your career as an entrepreneur? Over to you.
So good afternoon, everybody. Hearing the Pali and Buddha was something like, okay, it's me also, the same thing. It's all ditto for all of us, and especially Mukta, as she said, like it's been, you have been laughed about. So same thing has been with me. So my journey, of course, is from the home to our office. Like it has been that kind of a journey from being a home entrepreneur to being where we are today. It is like, so when you say about my growth trajectory, of course it's a very long one, 22 years almost now. But if you want to talk about only my business, I need to first give you a small intro about the business first. So the business is about sanitation. My company builds products and solutions around sanitation, urban health, hygiene, and solutions around having a toilet, basically. So that was a challenge that actually I learned in 2011 and so on, that 67% of Indian women or Indian people were defecating in the open. So that was an eye opener to me, because I may say I'm a little privileged that I always had a toilet in the house. So thinking that aloud and talking about it today, I feel it's such a humongous thing that 60 years of our independence and people don't even have a toilet. How can that be possible? So that was the journey that I started off with. And without a single toilet in a house, so my mission became each house one toilet. Like if I have a three toilet, at least the rural and the semi-urban should have one toilet. So today where we are is that I don't know, India country as such, they say we are open defecation free. So within next 2012 to 2019, country became open defecation free. Of course, that's not to quote, but it's not the fact. But definitely we have made some progress. So if I see in terms of the mission that I had, the company and the government has accomplished that. We have built a number of them from my start with just 10 lakhs of a revenue to now 50 to 60 crores. In that numbers, we have become that. In the headcount, which I was just as a proprietary company, and now we are a corporate with 800 people on board. So sanitation, when I started, people of course again made fun of me, and many years I had to hide what I was trying to do actually. People, I didn't tell them I built toilets, and today also people laugh at me when I say that, oh, you build toilets and you're sitting in a corporate office and building toilets. I said, so that's where we are. People don't take us seriously. People think that what we're doing is crazy. There was one vendor of mine who keeps reminding me that when I called him that I wanted to buy toilets from me, he said, "What pagal aadmi hai? Kaun pagal aurat aa gayi mere ko phone karke?" And today he's one of my best friends, and he really values my work. And I also told him to buy my shares. I was offering him my shares for 10%. Today he cries, I should have bought it, So that's how it is, and we have listed our company on the website on NSC last year, which was the very big achievement for us and for the entire women entrepreneur group or the ecosystem, that nothing is impossible if you dream it. And I always wanted, because I used to hear that if you're a limited company, your value is this. I used to be very excited about it. And I have seen the journey from a proprietor to private to public, and it makes me feel it can be done. It's not that big. It's just a matter of time. And sanitation again is an industry. Any service, we all need to take it seriously. So that's where our trajectory has been in terms of numbers and values.
So much. I think that was very insightful in understanding, of course, how your trajectory has been, and of course, also in understanding in that how women leadership is bringing changes not just in boardrooms, from the grassroots of India to the boardrooms of the country. So it's really inspiring to hear about your journey. My next question would be to Nar ma'am. So could you tell us about the participation of women that we are finding in building digital India, and how is IBM possibly assisting in fostering such kind of women leadership?
So I think, there is a philosophical way of looking at it, Anisha, and they say behind every successful man and effort there is a woman. But then when you look at the actual participation, I think it needs to improve dramatically at all levels. And I think, there are two areas, since you asked about IBM, two areas very close to my heart, actually three. So I mentor women entrepreneurs, especially on the technology side. I volunteer time for doing that outside of IBM. IBM is very happy that I do that. Second, I think IBM leads the way in terms of gender diversity and the gender diversity initiatives, the way we do policy and programming, within IBM. And therefore, we win awards globally and in India all the time for best places to work for, not just women, but minority communities. So inclusion is a way of life for us. And I won't get into that because I think that's an important side. But I think the important thing here, and the third leg that I spoke about, because all this is close in my mind, which is women leaders and which is women entrepreneurs. But I think the real effort, if you really have to look at it, if you have to change the fabric of the society, eventually, why is it that we've made progress in 30 years, but not necessarily enough? It's because we need to change things at the grassroots level, right? We still find that education at a high school and a high secondary, level as we call it, needs to still be equal for girls. A lot of the time, the STEM education is not a high priority for girls, especially, or that they are kept back. So one of the missions that IBM has done is that we are aiming towards, 2 to 3 lakhs girls across 13 states in India to ensure that they're pursuing STEM education. We're trying to do this in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, not just in the urban and the metro cities. We're trying to do this in 120 districts, and if I'm not wrong, I think we already have about 250,000 girls enrolled as part of this program. Interestingly, we're not just doing this in girls' schools, we're also doing this in co-ed schools. So we already have about 1,15,000 boys also enrolled in the program. But what is the difference in the program? We're of course building the curriculum with the schools. We're also doing teacher training, programs. But I think one of the most important things that's to my heart is that we're talking to them not just about education and curriculum, but about the fact that girls ought to have a career. And second, that girls can have a career in STEM. And therefore, this conversation is not just going in terms of just the curriculum to the children, this conversation is going to the teachers